prison, when they come out, they did their time and come out, they're forced back into the same situation, the same environment that got them into prison in the first place. There is no opportunities for second chances. Employers continue to close doors upon them. Everybody is turning their backs on them. So what's going to happen? They got to eat. They got to survive. So eventually they go right back into the same situation that got them there in the first place. When we look at again, we work with some juveniles and we created My Brother's Workshop, where we went over to YRC and started to, again, provide these youngsters with some skills, pay them a stipend, again, so that we could start to prepare them to be able to take on the task at hand rather than being exposed into the same environment that got them into prison in the first place. I've gone to Puerto Rico, I've spoken to HIDA, I've spoken to Customs and Border Patrol in terms of their responsibility and all the importation that we're seeing with firearms in our community. Everybody look at the locals' responsibility, but again, we're not holding the federals in terms of their responsibility to protect our borders. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of work to do in this community. I don't want to sit here and point fingers this evening. I truly believe there's an organization here that could start to make inroads, and I'm open to that, and I want to work with you, each and every one of you, to make that happen. Thank you for being here. I will continue to listen, and hopefully we could have some solutions as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Nelson?
Good evening, everyone. I do apologize for coming late. I was conducting a community service I do at the Clock Tower every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6. I appreciate, and I don't know what was mentioned before I got here, but I'm going to try to just respond to some of the things I heard. We need not cheat ourselves. Growing up in the Virgin Islands, we grew up in a black society, one nurtured by black people. I'm saying this because I went to college in North Carolina for 10 years. I went to school and I lived there. And a lady with a doctorate degree explained to me, she said, you don't know how good you all had it growing up in a place where your leadership was black, where your teachers were black, where your principals were black. They couldn't understand why I was comfortable looking at the white people who worked in the same building, looking at them in their face. They found that outstanding. How could you do that? And I was like, what's wrong with you? But they don't know that. So we need not talk as though we in the Virgin Islands don't know ourselves. My son went to NC State, and in orientation, they had orientation just for the black students. And he's like, Daddy, why are they talking about this stuff? This is stuff that is common knowledge to us. And you know why he's saying that? Because this is where he raised up. Black Americans have a different situation than we do. So let's not put ourselves in that. We have an edge, not a disadvantage. But part of the problem we're facing is that old people are always talking to young people. I so young and stupid. I don't know nothing. You don't think we're hearing that? Even me, I'm 48. I got to hear it from you. Young people so foolish. You keep telling them they're stupid, they're going to start acting stupid. We're hearing that. We know it. It's true. Nobody want to admit it. Nobody likes truth. The other day we had a protest outside. My elder get up in my face, pointing. My father is the only man who pointed in my face without consequence. Telling me effing this and that. How am I to respect that? You think that's okay because he do it? That's okay? And everybody all right with that? If I'd bite his finger or something, they would say, I was disrespectful. That's what y'all would have said. Send our kind of people for me. So respect is mutual. So as a young person, I'm telling you, it goes both ways, brother man. It goes both ways. And that's what's wrong with the young people. Young people feel like you all don't respect them. Just chastise, put down. I will continue. Because nobody wants to accept responsibility. Senator Valley, I appreciate what you say. Everybody got to look out. And too many times people say, don't touch my child. You know what happened? The generation changed. And, you know, we have to blame America for some of it because, see, somebody explained this to me the other day. So, positive, you know what happened? When the federal government started to give assistance to a young teenager who get pregnant, and they don't now have to depend on mommy. And it's my child. They're giving them housing, they're giving them food. So now the child raising the child. They released from the parent had some control when that assistance wasn't there because they had some dependency. So there's a lot of things that compound the problem is what I'm really saying. So to just target legislators as the problem, that can't be the problem alone. Something I need to explain to you. There's 5 generations on the earth. Traditionals, boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. Traditionals are before 1930s. Boomers from about 30 to 1960. X's, that's my generation, from 60 to about 81. 81 to about 2000 is Y. And now we're in the Generation Z. They don't want to wait. They have information at their fingertips. When you're going to tell us the stork being the baby, they Google that. So I just want for y'all to know we are in a different age. And respect is both ways. And the problems that we have aren't really related to the lack of laws. We're dealing with movie world, TV world, a game world, everything promoting sex, drugs, and money. And I want for y'all to be clear that the violence ain't being perpetuated just by the young people, nor the drug use just by the young people. And they have to deal with a lot. They have to grow up. They have to raise their siblings because parents ain't staying home. You're up and down to every jam, nails, hair, everything done. The child ain't properly dressed and fed. And that's all right with some people. Some men want to be involved. They may not be in the home. They want to be involved. They're using the child. Children are being used as barter and advantage to be used. That means what you do with children. And when children go to those things, they act out. When children are abused young, they act out. There's a lot of things going on that we aren't addressing. And it's true. We need to address them. But to just come blaming everybody and saying how stupid we are doesn't do it either.
Thank you. I want to, yes. I just want to say this. You know, we're making statements here, and some of them are a little bit controversial. We're getting a little bit heated up. But I don't want to be giving the mic back and forth and having people answer. Because today is all about listening to the people, writing down the suggestions, and coming up with some type of solutions. That's what this is about. That's what I stated in the beginning, and that's what I want to hear. And we have other people here who want to speak. I still have this young man who still have 4 suggestions in his plate. I have the other young man who have a few more, but we have 2 new individuals that want to speak too. And with all due respect, I'm going to let the younger generation speak, and then you're my generation, and then we can speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Shakira Ritter, and I came here today. I was invited by Sister Aisha. My mom encouraged me to come, and I just wanted to speak my story and let my voice be heard. I think for many years I've been sheltered and afraid to speak out because I'm a very emotional person. So I'll try to get to the point quickly. And being that we're talking about violence, I lost someone that was very close to me, my dad. He was murdered here in St. Croix about 7 years ago. And the interesting thing about my dad being murdered is at the time I was attending St. Croix Central High School. My dad's body was found right in that shanty where I had to go to school every single day. And with the help of my family and some people in the community, I was able to come here today to speak about my experience. And my main concern is the police department. I majored in criminal justice for 4 years at the University of the Virgin Islands, mainly because of my situation. And the question that I really have and my concern is, do we actually investigate these crimes? Most of the crimes go unsolved. Are these closed cases? Do we just put them on a counter? Do we reopen them? Do we get a lead? Does Is there a witness? Is there anything? Was there cameras right at that shanty where students catch taxi? Is there a camera there? Can anybody tell me anything, any answers? That's my issue. Another issue that I have is I've lost friends. My dad lived his life. Okay, he was 50 something years old when he died. And although it was cut short, I would say that he lived his life. But what about my friends and my peers, okay, who weren't allowed to live their lives? What about them? Okay? Do we allow them to just kill each other? We just say, you know what it is, bad man, let it just stand on the street and shoot up each other. I mean, come on, where do we cut this short? When do we intrude and stop it? I just need it to stop. It is too much and I can't bear it anymore. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to fight and argue with anybody because we're talking about the killing and the fighting, and we in here fighting against the people that we want to help us. Okay, we don't have the power. We can't go out and do it by ourselves, so that's why we're here. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's why we're here, for help, right? So let's just work together as a team and try to come to a solution. That's why I'm here. We need to get a Virgin Islands Police Department involved. We need security, okay? Some of my peers make jokes. If something happened to me, I gonna call VIPD and they gonna come an hour later when everything done because they're afraid. Is this the truth? Do we need to bring in different people from outside of our environment to help us? Are they afraid? Are they not strong enough? Do we need more manpower? That is my concern. What is the problem? If that's what we need to do, then maybe we need to work on getting that done now. Okay, that's what I believe. Before I wrap it up, the next thing I want to focus on is the household. Okay? We have to accept our kids. We have to say they're wrong. Sometimes they are wrong. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. And just because they're wrong, that don't mean they deserve to be shut down in a road like there's nothing. Because we all come from a mother, and that's our children. So they don't deserve it. But we have to say, we have to stop them, we have to guide them and lead them at some point. We have to. That's the only way. And I really want to send out my condolences to everybody because I truly know how it feels. I know how it feels. I've been there, and my dad was somebody that was very close to me. Okay? And like I said, I went to school and I majored in criminal justice. I wanted to know about the system. I wanted to know how are these things done, what directions we need to take. I mean, I watch TV. Not everything on TV is real, but I mean, they could take the smallest thing from a hair and investigate a whole crime. Why we can't even open a case? Why? Just because your name ain't big name? So because me got a big name, I don't deserve justice? Come on, some of our own VIPD shutting us down in the streets. They're killing us. The people that are supposed to serve and protect us is killing us. The VIPD, I give them the props. They don't try. It's not everybody. Please don't mistake my words. It's not everybody. But some of them really and truly, they don't treat us like that. And that's why the young generation don't respect them. You're going to respect somebody that can't protect you? The person that killing you, you're going to respect them? No. So we need to be careful who is these people that we putting in these suits and calling them security and police officers. Senators, I'm begging you, please help us. Next thing, we arresting them, okay? Somebody get arrested. Are they being rehabilitated, or we just leaving them in there for them to plan more crimes? When they go in there, what are they going to do? They're just sitting in there waiting. Well, let me sit in here and wait it out. And then when I come back, I gonna get here. We have to rehabilitate them when they go in there. What programs we have for them? Do we have somebody mentoring them? Do they have books? They're bringing in all kind of cell phone, all kind of blade. What are we doing? We need to rehabilitate the people that are incarcerated. We need to come together as a family and guide our children And we need to get better forces in our Virgin Islands Police Department office. We need that. Those are my 3 suggestions. I thank you all very much. Again, my name is Shakira Ritter, and I really appreciate you today.
Okay. Before I continue, this is why, Aisha, for our next meeting, we need more of the younger generation. We need more of the younger generation that know firsthand, not just the mothers, but the younger generation that knows the pain. I'm not I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I feel your pain, because that would be very hypocritical of me. But I can relate. And there was a statement that was made about, have you lost a lost one? Indirectly and directly, every single one of us in this room have lost a loved one. Every single one of us. We know of somebody, be it family, non-family, friend, acquaintance. That's how small this community is. I want to make a statement here in reference to the question that was asked. And one of the things, before I became a senator, I work in the Virgin Islands Behavioral Services, which is a 24-hour center that houses children with behavioral, emotional, and psychological problems. And during that time there, I work with this gentleman over here, fine counselor. During that time there, one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of the therapists and counselors that were helping these children were not from here. Many of them were from the outside. Many of them were imported to come here and help with our children. And some of them had a hard time, because how can you give therapy and counseling to a child if you don't know where they come from, if you don't know their culture, if you don't know their language, if it takes you 5 weeks to figure out what IE means? And it happened. And that's one of the reasons why, finally, after 2 years, with the help of my fellow senators, we were able to put together a bill that was passed into act to develop a board to have our people go to UVI and become certified therapists and counselors. And that's what we need. That's part of the solution, to have more of our counselors and therapists here dealing with our children. That is a small part of the solution. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to Mr. Olu, Bassi, sorry. And then what we'll do is that we still have 2 individuals that have suggestions that we want to wrap it up, and then we'll have Senator Gittens.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olu Maciel. I have been here 35 years. I have just retired February 6th from Bureau of Corrections as a rehabilitation counselor and facilitator. Ms. Ritter, let me speak to that right away. As all of us probably in this room know, that BOC is so antiquated, the policies are so old, and they're not in tune with what is contemporary now. And it was a very, actually it was trauma for me, quite honestly, you know. But working with the Fountain Valley Three, Warren Ballantyne, Merle Smith, Beaumont Giroux Bay, working with them, and Dennis Blyden from St. Thomas, Austin Lambertus from St. Thomas, Johnny Kidd from St. Croix as the youngest one. But working with those elders, they put together a detainee program that spoke to the issues of, and I like to say, Mr. Senator Valet, most of our children and youth are assimilating. They're doing what they're in the school. It's the ones that drop out. It's the ones Senator Francis knows as well because he's collaborated and he has been responsive, and also Senator O'Reilly, but certainly Senator Francis has, because that's his area, of course, but has been responsive to some of the policies that are so old that won't let a detainee program like the elders, the Fountain Valley Three, and some of the guys that I mentioned started. So what happened is that because we had 4 wardens in 3 years, they stopped the program. The detainees were responding to this thing that was passed out, ma'at, right? This is an ancient way that our people from the continent, from the Canaan Valley, before what we know as Ethiopia and before what we know as Egypt, from the Canaanite and Moabite people, the 42 declarations of innocence. This is where the 10 Commandments came from that watered down our community. We need 42. And if you read what's on there, you can see it. This is what this is what the elders in the prison started giving the detainees, these young guys that got 20 and 30 years for murder and life. A high percentage got life for murder. But they started to respond to this because what we found out is that a lot of them needed habilitation, not rehabilitation. It's that percentage, Senator Vele and Senator Positive, that drop out of 6th grade, 7th grade, don't even go to school, some of them. Then that percentage, those are the ones that we need to target. Those are the ones that Ms. Ritter, that your friends and all of our people are being affected by a small group. It's a small group. All we have to do is identify the parents. And again, in the school system, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, you can identify the families that are having problems by the children that are reacting in the school. Come on. This ain't rocket science. You can identify that right there. So as we begin this process, because Senator Sanders is a process, this is going to have to take a protracted meetings to get to the solutions, right? In the prison system going back, we don't have a halfway house. So if we don't have a halfway house, how can the guys come out 2011, 2012, 2013? 5 guys came out within 1 month, they died. Because they had to go back to where they came from. And if you go back in rehabilitation to where you came from, you don't get an opportunity to check out the new things that are presented to you so that you can change your lifestyle. You got to have an opportunity to test this stuff. And a halfway house brings that opportunity to you to test what you are unfamiliar with, but you're trying it because it'll keep you safer. Is that my time? A. We got work to do, but let's continue. Listen, I have my children, the youth that are responding to this, right? In the morning, I will not do wrong. I will not steal. I will not act with violence. And in the evening, I have not. And if you have lied, you get rid of it right then. If you have something, you get rid of it right then. That's the therapeutic mode. Don't hold on to stuff. Get rid of it. Make your amends, pay the bill, do whatever it takes to get rid of those things. Don't let it ride on you night, day. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Before I come to you guys, I just want the remaining, Marcia Milligan, is she here? Please have a seat over there. David Clark, Ms. Moorhead, Mary Moorhead. David Clark, over here, please. And George Gautier. Have a seat, right, please. Yeah, Mr. Gutierrez over here. These gentlemen have 4 suggestions each that we're going to put in the record, and then Senator Gittens, you have to leave, right? Okay. I'll let him have.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I asked the senators to speak now because I'm back and forth on my phone. I need to go to the hospital. I have a very good friend there that they don't know if they'll make the night out. But I wanted to be here anyway. I was standing in the back. And Miss Rita really brought me up here and almost brought tears to my eyes because I feel your pain. Everything you said was so on point. And this is one of the very reasons why we need to listen to our young people in this community. I served this community for 21 years as a police officer. And that's what I did. I served. I understand exactly what you're saying. I investigated misbehavior in the police department. I feel your pain as you wonder if cases are being investigated, put on the side, reopened, or not. Though I came from the police department, yes, if I have to critique the police department, I will. Because as I look around, and oftentimes I see people driving up and down and not actually patrolling. But police-community relations is something that needs to come back. The people in this community needs to be able to trust those who are sworn to protect us. And until we could bring that back, we're going to be out to sea without the oars and without the engine. Senator Viale also said it on point. And communication is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. We have a lot of educators in here. So just like how you throw it at us as elected officials, if any one of my colleagues open their mouth tonight and say something that is the truth, don't get disrespectful. That's a young officer, the first female sworn officer that this legislature have. Young lady today. Why should she have to be subject to that disrespect? And I am happy that you pointed it out first. Because as I stood there, I was very disgusted. Because we're speaking to the individuals who we say we want the help from, and we can't do it by ourselves. There's 15 of us that makes up this body, and I always tell them, I don't care how loud you speak, ain't no one and ain't no two is going to turn things around. It must take a collective effort of a majority of us to get things done. Novel Francis just introduced a bill to deal with the same matter that you're talking about. Yes, a hair strand can solve a whole case. We're moving towards that end. It's years I've been in the police department and we keep hearing about this forensic lab and can't get this forensic lab. We're finally moving in that direction. All I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, is don't crucify those that are really trying to help you. None of us in here are fools. And you all could tell who bullshitting you from who ain't bullshitting you. Let's get it straight. So those that are seeking to help you, come on, man. I know there are those of you who are sitting there saying that they crucified Jesus Christ. Who am I? But must we go that route? Let's help each other. All of us are in this together. I have no place to go. This is my home. I was born, and raised here, educated here in the public school system, I have nowhere to go. And my plea with you tonight is for us to be able to work together. I am sad that the one component is missing, and that is of the leadership of the police department, so that they can hear the concerns and hear some of the suggestions. Because again, without that police community relations, we have nothing. Thank you very much. And I humbly apologize, but I really want to go to the hospital. It's been twice before that I keep saying I was going to the hospital to visit someone, and I always put it off and end up going to a funeral. This time, I want to be able to be at that bedside. I humbly apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gittens. What we're going to do at this time is that we're going to have the suggestions that these gentlemen started real quick. Then we're going to go to the ladies and the two gentlemen here. So let me start off. See if your mic is working, sir.
Testing. All right. My first recommendation is no more environmental violence because it is a known contributor to physical violence. I would like to see an agricultural commitment to provide proper nutrition to our community. I'd like to see the mechanisms put in place for data collection to be analyzed scientifically to improve decision making and policy direction. And I would like to see our youth prioritize, and also I would like to see a collective acceptance of our shared responsibility for the condition of our youth, because we have a community of black and brown people all over the United States exhibiting the same behaviors as our children, and the only connection between them is our shared experience and history. Yes, there are exceptions. They're always going to have exceptions. You had free slaves when you had slavery going on, and you can't use the free slaves to condemn those that still were enslaved.
Thank you. Huh? What was the second one?
Agricultural commitment to provide proper.
Okay. No, and if you don't mind, I would like to make a copy. Okay, yeah. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Sir?
Yes, thanks for allowing me to finish up. It has a quote here that says, "We have realized that you cannot save children without saving families, and you cannot save families without rebuilding communities." While I understand our situation here to be that we are here to address the violence problem, I do agree with a lot of the testifiers that we are not here to speak about the young people that are successful and are not committing crimes. We are here to speak directly to the small percent that are committing the crime, and so that we can come up with a solution to solve the problem. So if we want to save the children, we got to develop the legislation and the methodology to save the family. And then in saving the family, we have to save the community, because the communities are the places that are breeding these small percentage of criminals in our community that's spreading the violence around the world. Around the community. So my recommendations: dismantle the ghettos, the slums, or the places that produce these types of deviant realities. Provide jobs to the underclass. A lot of us don't understand that the reason why people are committing crime is because we have an underclass of individuals that are isolated and segregated in certain communities, and because of that, they have no way out. Address spatial and social immobility. Spatial mobility means that you have the ability economically to move from one geographic area to another. If you feel it is unsafe for your family, you have to move away and go into a better environment. Because of poverty, we're isolated, people are isolated, have no option, and they can't move. And then social mobility, of course, you understand that people to rise up in society. pass legislation to hold gun manufacturers accountable for their products. We saying it over and over, we hearing it all the time. We don't manufacture guns, but the manufacturers of the guns get away with murder, and the only people that go into prison is the young people that's pulling the trigger, not the one that making the guns. Create a boat port, like an airport, because we suspect the guns are coming through the vessels. Create a boat port, a central location where all the boats have to come in and be checked so that we could eliminate the import of guns. Develop a viable, functional sporting industry in the Virgin Islands. If we want our young people to be doing or committing activities or doing activities that are non-violent, the best way to do that is to develop the sporting industry in our society where they from young they learn teamwork, not gang work. Now, a lot of people might not agree with this, but I don't believe it is impossible. I know we are under the red, white, and blue, but legislate morality in our society. I hear people say we can't do it, but you could do what you want to do. Legislate it. If we emphasize from young to our young people that morality is important, drill it in them from young, then they're gonna practice what they're taught. Institute parental teaching and training schools. Since we realize that we have parents that are not teaching the children them the right way, set up programs to teach people how to be parents. That's a no-brainer. Institute trade schools to teach skills. One of the things we lack here in this society are trade schools for our young people to be not they say idle minds is idle hands is idle minds or something like that. If they have trade school that they could make money, they won't need the drug money. And that's again another no-brainer, something we're not doing. Stop cutting youth services. We find all kind of reason to cut youth services. We need to stop making an excuse and bring that into reality. Make the ATF do their jobs. They come down here and look like they live in they come in the Virgin Islands and all they want is sun, sea, and hot air and rum. And they have a role and they need to do their job. I just need to finish. I've been here sitting down too long. Again, in the effort to repeat, more police patrols in community, in these segregated, isolated communities, more of them. We need to weed out ASAP corrupt law enforcement officers, attack gangs, transition them to teams. Hire people to check trailers and undertakers' imports. We know heard of some of the guns that coming in them direction. Hire people to check them. And again, repetition is important because we need to hear it. Set up the curriculum that teaches our children the African history and reality from K to 12 once and for all. Not just K to second grade, K to 12. I have endless books that we could reference for 7th graders to read in social studies, not to be reading about Columbus and all of these things. They could read about stick, fist, and knife. No, it's outdated, but I'm saying that they don't read the books that they need to read about our history that they could be debating in debate teams from 7 and all late elementary up to high school.